I immediately took those thoughts and put them to the side and just say, God's going to be able to take care of things and he's going to be okay. He's going to kick through because I know I'm big on energy. So I said, he need positive energy. And that kind of carried over to when I got to the hospital.
So when you got to the hospital, you got the call, you decided, okay, I am going to make the flight. And you got there. Like, just tell us emotionally in detail, like, what did you feel like when you got there?
I think leading up to it, just getting the information of just, knowing, previous things, things like that happened with Dom. I think immediately it kicked in of, my dad's pre-existing conditions. He did have diabetes and high blood pressure, but more so I had the thought of, what am I going to see when I get there? Like, how is he going to be? And I kept hearing things about, they have to remove a piece of his skull and things of those nature. So my mind was in a bunch of different places, but for myself personally, I've been doing a lot of positive mental attitude things, reading a lot of books. So I immediately took those thoughts and put them to the side and just say, God's going to be able to take care of things and he's going to be okay. He's going to kick through because I know I'm big on energy. So I said, he need positive energy. And that kind of carried over to when I got to the hospital. I noticed, a lot of people were more so like worried and, having a negative conversation. I said, I had to be the positive light to let him see that, okay, if he sees me that I'm okay and I see him okay, because you look and see somebody, they could be in a worse condition as possible. And if they see worry on your face, they're gonna worry. But if they see smiles and they see that you're okay, it's gonna boost their how they are as a person or how they feel in that moment. So I had to take that positive mental attitude and carry it throughout the whole entire time. There was even times where, people would come and visit when I was first there and I would brief them before they even came in the room to look, when he get in there, don't say sorry, don't be sad, anything like that. He needs positive energy. So that's kind of what I switched. And I mean, I'm glad I had like an hour and a half or 2 hour flight to be able to get myself ready, I can't be, say all macho and I wasn't worried at all. But what I did was I put that worry to the side and brought so much of more of that like the courage factor and the peace at mind that he's gonna be okay. That's what I brought with me. So no matter he wasn't in a bad condition when I saw him, but even if he was in a really bad condition, my attitude or how I would approach that situation would have been the exact same because I know that's what he needed.
That's awesome. Now, when you got there and you started to interact with the medical staff and understand his condition, what did you do? Did you start to Google things? Did you ask questions? What did you do to start to understand how you could be useful there?
I think the first person I was talking to was you actually, because I wanted to see, were there any similarities with him and with Dom? And I think one of the things that I took from it was, Google's great, but Google gives you I like to say the worst possible scenario.
Right.
And, from simple things, you could say, okay, well, I hit my toe on the corner of a desk and
Right.
Google's going to say your toe's going to turn blue and fall off. That's not what I needed to
That's
hear.
true.
So I just was kind of leaning on you and asking you more questions. I know the doctors are going to give me their synopsis or their medical, the things that they learned from a textbook, but I want to say, how is he and his chances of what's going on? So as things progressed, I'm very patient, but I also take into account like what things people tell me. So if you tell me this is going to happen or this is going to transpire, I want to make sure you stick to it, especially when it comes to dealing with life of my loved one. So I think the main thing that for me was just to observe and see how things were progressing. If they said, he was going into surgery at this time, what's the holdup? Because I think that did happen for almost a day, I think almost. So I think that portion was okay. Well, if he's not going into surgery right now or right away or not a rush, to me, it's okay. Well, it's not as serious as I may have perceived, but I also want to be very cautious. So I just was not on guard, but I just was very observant in those moments. I really kind of blocked everything out and put all the attention and good energy, and also, just made sure everything was going as it was supposed to.
Okay. So you played the role of kind of just making sure that they were on point with what they needed to be doing.
Correct.
Now, you ended up spending some time in the hospital, quite a bit of time in the hospital. Um, Tell us what that was like and what you ended up seeing your protection of him in that space, what that was like. task wise?
Well, first, I was just glad that I made some, decisions in my life where I had the time to actually just be there. I didn't have to worry about work or I didn't have to worry about things. Since everything that I did, work for myself and things like that. I did it for reasons like that. It wasn't that specifically, but I did it so if someone did need me that I cared for, I didn't have to say, I'm at work, I'm over here, I'm doing this. I want to be able to have, my priorities or the top people that I care about be in the forefront and my work and all that things of that nature kind of be to the side if I needed to.
Right. So he was in the hospital. He did leave to go home. Did your duties or caregiving responsibilities change? Maybe when you went back, did you have more remote type of activities that you were doing to make sure you supported him? Or, while he was at home, did you stay longer? What happened?
Well, he transitioned from the hospital
Right, to the
to
rehab?
the rehab, and I think
Okay.
the rehab was the part that was really my caregiver portion.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, so when he was in a rehab center, that was, I didn't know what, like I said, I didn't know how it was gonna go, or what was gonna be, because when we first got there, I think they said that family couldn't stay,
Right.
but then, I'm melancholy in certain ways when it comes to procedure. Some person may tell you, "Hey, family can't stay under this conditions or this, or family can't stay at all." So I said, I need to see, what are the policies or what are certain things that I can do because at this point, I've been doing this for him, doing this for him. So
Right.
I think the first time I really realized it was, anytime he needs to get up or use the restroom. I didn't know I ever think I would have to help my father use, go and use the restroom or help him to sit up or help him to eat or help him to make sure he's comfortable. I was doing all of those roles and the kind of I didn't in the moment I'm not thinking of caregiving. I'm just making sure my dad's okay. And it's nothing that you can prep for. It's nothing that
Right.
you can I guess put yourself in a position where you say I'm ready. So I just took upon myself and said, okay, well, this is someone that I looked up to as like, the strong,
Yeah.
yeah, took care of me when I was younger and, changed my diapers and did these things. So it was instinct. There was never a moment of why do I have to do this? Or I never got frustrated with him. My goal was to make him get better. And that's what I spoke. I spoke those affirmations every day. Like, when you get out, we're going to do this. He's going to come to Georgia. He say, we're going to go fish. I spoke those things into
Wow.
to existence to get him back to better.
Hmm.
The main thing for me, the frustration only came with the staff,
Right.
so to say. And but one thing I tried to do my best was not to let him see me frustrated because
Mm.
now he would try to work. So anytime I had to speak to a doctor and anything was going wrong, he would ask and I would just say, everything's fine on that standpoint, but I would kind of go outside and make sure I took that, energy that was not as positive
Right.
outside the room because I know he wanted to make sure everything was okay. So that's what I would do. I would make sure he's okay. We play little games, watch TVs, tell him how things are gonna be when he gets out. So that role it was new for me, but it was comforting because we got a lot closer in that time.
Mm.
Being away at college and then coming back and starting your career and traveling and not having too much time to sit down and actually like talk to your parents
Right.
is something that's like very important. So I think if you do have that opportunity to do that, make sure you do it because you that time frame does not it's not promised. So just be able to get that time with your parents or anybody that you love because that time frame is not something that you can guarantee and say, yeah, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Do it today. So I think also one thing that I noticed was I saw how alike we were. Simple things like, him being very involved with the church. I always saw that as like a barrier between us two. It's like,
Right.
choosing the church over us, like for a simple thing like football, like going to my football games, it would be like sometimes or maybe. So like my first track meet in college, they came, but then they left. So he didn't get to see my good race. And I think once I started to realize when you're so in love with something or something is that's your purpose, it's not that you push everything aside. It's just that that has priority and then that's your calling. So that's what he believed the thing that was going to bring a lot of people closer to Christ.
Mm.
And I realized that yeah, my football games and all those things may have been very important to me as a teenager,
Mhm.
but, bringing people towards Christ was obviously, more important. And
Important.
I see it now even with running a business and understanding like how things work. Like if I have, my niece's birthday party and I'm building a business over here to secure financial independence and things like that, security, she's not going to remember that later on. So now I started to connect more, and I felt bad a little bit for feeling those ways all those years.
Wow.
So and that was
Wow.
a real growth, purpose for me. And I saw how much we were alike. And I think that was the thing that really got me the positives in
Huh.
that moment, in those moments.
Isn't that something? Yeah, I think sometimes we don't realize that the choices that our parents are making for that greater good, right? We don't really understand it, right? And as you say, our small context of the things that are important to us. But in time, we get to appreciate, the priority order of things, right? And then we get to understand on a larger scale from a legacy building perspective relative to the other things where things fall. So that's a very interesting comment.